Da sehen wir einen der Lokalmatadore, das ist Jaap van Lachen, der von der 4. Startposition aus ins Rennen gehen wird, hat im vergangenen Jahr im Porsche Carrera Cup hier in Zandvoort auf dieser einzigartigen Rennstrecke, die wunderbar in die Dünenlandschaft an der Nordseeküste, nicht weit entfernt von Amsterdam gelegen, eingebettet ist. Hatte Pech, dass er nach Absolvieren einer fliegenden schnellen Runde dann einen Schlag durch den Wind, der heute extrem stürmisch ist, aufs Auto bekommen hat. Er sagt, sowas ist mir die ganze
It's a wild and windy day here at Circuit Park in Zandvoort. You're joining us for race one of this weekend's Porsche Carrera Cup. And there you see Rudy van Buren, who's qualified on P8. He's starting out in the series this weekend. Good to see him here. It has been quite a weekend already. This morning punctuated by rain and wind, and let me tell you about the wind. It is so strong, it's been blowing us off our perches here down at Circuit Park in Zandvoort. Luca Rettenbacher there, we're just looking into his car, just taking a look at some of the drivers on the grid. It has been a stormy old day, and we're quite interested to see if we can get through this race as we look at Sandro Kaibach, see if we can get through this race without any safety cars. Most of the racing that we have seen today already has featured safety cars, and a lot of it is due to this extreme wind, which is blowing sand onto the track from the nearby dunes, and the wind, which is a tailwind down the home straight, and a headwind in the back part of the circuit. So it has been very, very lively. We're looking there at the local boy, Larry ten Voorde. And he, along with Jaap van Lagen, the other local boy, are representing the Netherlands here in the Porsche Carrera Cup. 30 seconds to go, and it's Mikael Ammermuller who lines up on pole position with local Larry ten Voorde alongside Julian Andlauer in P3 and Jaap van Lagen in P4. Dylan Pereira and Jean-Baptiste Simonauer make up the top six, and there are a number of penalties that have been brought in. Some left over from Norris Ring, where Dylan Pereira, Stefan Raykopf and Ivan Veliko all picked up penalties for contact. And also from practice in Zandvoort here, Tony Wolff and Igor Veliko. Yellow flag, so that has jumbled the grid up properly. So some drivers well out of position as a result of picking up penalties. And of course the Norris Ring, who can forget that race where the three BWT Lechner cars all went out in one big incident, going out. They were sitting in 1, 2, 3 in the standings, and they all went out in one go, in one accident. And BWT Lechner will be very keen for that not to happen again. Don't think I've ever seen three teammates take each other out before, so really keen for that not to happen again here at Circuit Park Zandvoort. As you can see, we're on to the formation lap, a critical lap for these drivers, getting tyres and brakes up to temperature prior to the start of this Porsche Carrera Cup race here at Zandvoort Circuit Park, a track that is 4.3 kilometres in length with 14 turns, 10 to the right, 4 to the left. You can see the grid there flashing up on your screens as we get ready to go racing very, very shortly. Rudy van Buren, really good to see him on the grid here for this. At a traditional track this is, very much an old school track with fast corners, many changes in elevation, and some pretty unforgiving gravel traps, as we have seen already. And in qualifying, we saw a couple of drivers, we saw Henrik Skoog and David Wagner, all ending in the gravel trap. And once you're in those, it's quite difficult to get out of them again. Particular attention paid to turn 1. Tarzan Bocht, a banked corner. Great opportunity. You can come down the home straight into turn 1, and there are overtaking opportunities on the outside of that corner. Very few other overtaking opportunities, it has to be said, on this track, although we have seen some. But nothing is certain when it comes to the Porsche Carrera Cup, and we're really looking forward to seeing these cars around here. A winner from last year, Jaap van Lagen. Of course, the other one being Thomas Preining has moved on into the GT Masters. But Jaap van Lagen, local knowledge means a lot, and that's why he qualifies on P4. Larry ten Voorde, after an epic start to the season, where he won the first four of the first 5 races and got a P2, then has had a fairly rubbish time at Norris Ring. He will be looking to consolidate his lead at the top of the points. And so he'll be looking for some good results here this afternoon at Circuit Park in Zandvoort. And as you can see, the wind is blowing those flags as the cars line up. We are getting ready for 17 laps of racing here. The final few cars come in. Hopefully now tyres are up to temperature and brakes are up to temperature, but this wind has caught a lot of drivers out already this weekend in other classes. So we're hoping we can get through this without the dreaded safety cars. There's Henrik Skoog, who had a torrid time in qualifying. Lines up right at the back of the grid. He's got it all to do this afternoon. The revs build. The red lights are on. We are waiting for the green lights, and we are off. And straight off pole position goes Mikael Ammermuller. Straight into the lead. Larry ten Voorde into P2. And Julian Andlauer P3. The cars sorting themselves out as they go round Tarzan Bocht. Into turn 3 and 4. The cars settle down into single file. Good to see everybody's got round that first few corners. Can we make it a whole lap and keep all the cars? It would be nice if we could. But Mikael Ammermuller definitely continuing where he left off in qualifying and stepping into that lead position. Here he comes. You see the cars lifting as they go over the bump. These such evenly cars, but I'm told very forgiving over the bumps. So these Porsche 911 looks fantastic and sound amazing as they complete the first of 17 laps here at Circuit Park Zandvoort. And Larry ten Voorde already looking very, very eager. I do beg your pardon, that was Jaap van Lagen. So Jaap van Lagen actually got past and is through into P2. And now I'm not entirely sure, that must have happened at the start. 2 cars with very similar colours, but it's Jaap van Lagen who is putting his local knowledge to good use. And he is the one that's into P2. So Mikael Ammermuller coming under a lot of pressure as we see jostling for position further back. That was the 23 car of Louis Henkenfeld in his car further back in the field, and that's Gustav Malja moving on the inside of Louis Henkenfeld. The car of his that is called... I forgot the name of it already. And here we come for the lead. And this is Jaap van Lagen. He's taken the lead on the outside of Mikael Ammermuller. And a car, and it's Van Lagen. He's overdone it into turn 1. Such enthusiasm. He was doing so well. And he's gone wide and into the gravel trap. So it's Mikael Ammermuller who takes on the lead again. So Jaap van Lagen has dropped right back. The Fork Racing Porsche 911. What a shame. He was done so well, but just overcooked it. Hopefully we'll have a replay of that. We can just see here, outbraked himself and straight on into the gravel trap. Meanwhile, Julian Andlauer through into P2. So the 2 BWT, the 3, in fact, BWT Lechner cars. Once again in 1, 2, 3, we just see on board with Jaap van Lagen. What a real shame. Just overdoing it there into turn 1. So we have 3 BWT Lechner racing cars or in the first 3 positions, or make that 4. So a really Good showing. In fact, overdrive racing by Huber. That's the Larry Ten Vorder car in P3. Then the other two BWT Lechner racing cars. So they are showing well at the front of the grid there. So Mikael Ammermuller in the lead. Julian Andlauer in second. Larry Ten Vorder in third. The cars settle down and Jaap van Lagen rejoins a bit further down. Here we come, completing lap 2. Straight line of cars slipstreaming down the home straight. The tailwind behind them, the flags are flying. And you can see Larry Ten Vorder in P3, Dylan Pereira in P4 in the blue car with Jean-Baptiste Simonauer, who has had a fairly difficult time this season in a number of the races, but is now showing very, very well in this race. There you can see it. Definitely a BWT Lechner Racing lockout, with the exception of Larry Ten Vorder. And it'll be a brave man who bets against one of them winning this race this afternoon. Again, you can see the bumps on the track there as they come up the hill. That is a great camera shot. And you can see how forgiving the Porsche 911 is over those bumps. So a challenge for the lead now. Julian Andlauer making a move on Mikael Ammermuller. Now the big instruction, especially after Norris Ring, is don't take each other out. And there's Georgia Donchev backwards in the gravel trap. So don't know what's happened to him, but he's looking stranded, and this could very well bring out a safety car, because it doesn't look as though he is moving from there. And Jean-Baptiste Simonauer having a look on the inside of the 92 Luca Rettenbacher car. In fact, not quite making it stick. And the safety car is out. It's exactly what we thought might happen. The safety car is out, and the cars are brought back to a slow speed to allow the retrieving of the Georgi Donchev car. So you can see how far he's got it up the banking there. That's quite impressive, actually. That is really thick sand, and we just see him going backwards. We don't know how that incident started, but very, very easy to do. We've seen many drivers doing it in other series this weekend, and Georgi Donchev, easy for me to say, ending up backwards in the gravel trap. So there we go. Mikael Ammermuller, Julian Andlauer, Larry Ten Vorder, Dylan Pereira, Luca Rettenbacher, and Jean-Baptiste Simonauer. And here's another look at the start. I noticed that the start is under investigation. Now, there's nothing that I saw, especially, that was an issue, but I wonder if somebody jumped the start or whether there are some issues, but the stewards are currently looking at the start, so it'll be interesting. Jaap van Lagen did get away very well indeed. Did he get away a little bit too well? And I have to say, I didn't even notice him sneaking past those two cars in front of him. Let's have a look again. Oh, and there's a car that didn't get away at all at the back of the grid. That was the 67 car, Sebastian Daum. So fairly torrid day for him as well. And Jaap van Lagen really did go like a bullet out of a gun, didn't he? We're looking back at the from the Dylan Pereira car at Jean-Baptiste Simonauer. And we can see David Kolkman on the outside of Jean-Baptiste Simonauer. And another look. Gosh, that was like a bullet out of a gun, wasn't it? So Larry Ten Vorder, I don't know if he just got a very bad start. And there you can see Julian Andlauer just slotting it in front of him. So our points leader, Larry Ten Vorder, currently in P3, and Carlos Rivas in P17 is our leading amateur driver. It's good to see him up there as well. So some concerned looking faces in the BWT Lechner team, and you can understand why after the last race. But certainly looking very, very dominant indeed. And very, very shortly, we're going to be getting ready to go racing again. Safety car leads the cars around. You can see them there just coming up over the hill, getting ready for the restart of this race. Just very important to try and keep some heat in those tyres. And into the brakes as well. So we can see here, looking like car 13. So it's Larry Ten Voorde who has been adjudged to have jumped the starts. Now that did not look like that from where I was standing, but apparently he did. So Larry Ten Voorde has been awarded a 5-second time penalty for jumping the start. Now that's something I didn't see coming. I did not think it was him who was the one that was going to be under investigation, but clearly it is. So 5 seconds added on to Larry Ten Voorde's time as the safety car comes back into the pit lane. And it's down to Mikael Ammermuller to back the pack up and get ready. He nails the accelerator, jumping away from Julian Andlauer. Larry Ten Voorde carrying that 5-second time penalty with Dylan Pereira in P4. Looking good for possibly a podium here. So they come out of the Arie Luyendyk corner, down onto the home straight to receive the green flag. Julian Andlauer looking to the outside of Mikael Ammermuller, but not finding any route past. There's further changes of position, further down the pack. But Mikael Ammermuller holding on to that lead from Julian Andlauer and Larry Ten Voorde. And there we can see single file, and there's another car in the gravel trap. That's Jaap van Lagen. Can he keep it going? No, it's, sorry, Matthijs Jezerik. Can he keep that going? He can. So that doesn't require a safety car. So Matthijs Jezerik rejoins. And he carries on his way, albeit further back down. Now those leaders absolutely glued together. These cars are so even. Really, really difficult to pass, even on a track that has good overtaking facilities. And this track is notoriously difficult to pass. Just having a look again at the number 10 car spinning around onto the gravel trap. Really pleased that he managed to keep that going. Just did it under braking. You can just see it looking back at him, and just spins around and up into the gravel trap. So we carry on. The front few just absolutely nose to tail, particularly the first three. And Larry Ten Voorde, he's going to have to find 5 seconds somewhere as we see 92. Luca Rettenbacher, Jean-Baptiste Simonauer. And also Leon Kohler fighting for that position. And a challenge for P2 as Larry Ten Voorde on the outside. Now, we said that turn 1 was a place you could overtake on the outside, but Larry Ten Voorde can't quite make it stick, so tucks back in behind Julian Andlauer, but looking very racy indeed. We're riding on board with Larry Ten Voorde now. And he needs to get past these cars and get clear, because he's got that 5-second penalty that he's carrying, so he needs that 5-second space, ideally, to get past the cars in front of him. And Dylan Pereira in P4 just looking to pounce at any given moment. So riding on board with Larry ten Voorde, this time on the inside of Julian Andlauer. And he just goes out wide to says, thank you very much, I'll have that place if you don't mind. Through to P2 goes Larry ten Voorde and Julian Andlauer, who picks up the dirt as he goes wide, just slows him down that little bit. And ten Voorde is through into P2. Mikael Ammermuller currently about 3/10 ahead. But Larry ten Voorde, he has been the man to beat all year long. And he continues, apart from a shocking weekend at Norris Ring, he really has been almost unbeatable during 2019. We're looking from P4, Dylan Pereira looking ahead at the back of the Julian Andlauer car. And we can see how close the field is, very little in between. Just look at the cars jostling for position further back. And that looked like a change of position, looked like Louis Henkefen to me, who I was going to mention earlier. His car is called Gunter. There we go. You needed that useless bit of information, didn't you? He named his car Gunter. But we're riding on board with Jaap van Lagen. Don't want to get that wrong. Number 9 in P9. And after that rocket start, probably kicking himself inside the cockpit of that Porsche 911 because he just kind of threw it away a little bit, going wide into the gravel trap, but trying to work his way back, get amongst the leaders. So the car number 5, David Kolkman, under pressure from Jaap van Lagen, but that's the 88 car of Reese Barr, the Irish driver, going wide and dropping right back. He was showing in P16, but probably not anymore, I shouldn't think, as 92 and car 3 get together. So that's the 92 of Luca Rettenbacher getting past Dylan Pereira. And that's through into P4, so that's quite significant indeed. And that's Jean-Baptiste Simonauer as well. And he's got Leon Kohler for company. Let's have a look at that again. 92 looking on the inside of Dylan Pereira. Did he actually make it stick? Pereira taking to the gravel. And Rettenbacher says, thank you, I'll have that. And Jean-Baptiste Simonauer trying to get through as well. And just looking on board there from Dylan Pereira. See him cutting across the dirt there. And instantly losing a couple of places. And Jean-Baptiste Simonauer deciding that discretion is the better part of valour and just backing out of it just a little bit. And you're looking on board from Leon Kohler there, his teammate going across the gravel. So some great shots there. So Larry ten Voorde closing in on Mikael Ammermuller. Julian Andlauer. So the first 3 very much as they started, but Luca Rettenbacher, he's made a great start. As you can see there, he's made up 6 places, and who's that that's gone wide? That's Alex Arkin-Acker. He's had a fairly torrid day, doing a little bit of off-roading there. So Alex Arkin-Acker, who also spent a little bit of time on the grass during qualifying this morning. Back on again now, though, and carries on his way in P24 or thereabouts. Gonna take a few corners just to get the dirt off his tyres, and the 66 car of Andreas Szczepanski comes through and relieves him of that position. So 10 laps down of the 17. It's Mikael Ammermuller for Larry ten Voorde, Julian Andlauer, and a change of position further down as they come through into turn 1. And I thought it was Jaap van Lagen who jumps ahead of David Kolkman. Great driving. Jaap van Lagen knows this track better than anybody else, with the possible exception of Larry ten Voorde. And this is the track that they really both wanted to score well at. In front of the home crowd, both Dutch drivers. And Jaap van Lagen sneaks past David Kolkman and into P8. There's the number 50 car of Tim Zimmerman, involved in a shunt at the Red Bull Ring with Jean-Baptiste Simonau amongst others. Currently circulating in P10, but with Ruby Van Buren very much for company. And Ruby Van Buren looking very quick, and in fact putting up his fastest times and closing the gap onto Tim Zimmerman, who occupies the P10 spot. Mikael Ammermuller at the front, currently holding a 3/10 lead over Larry ten Voorde, who in turn has about a second and a half over Julian Andlauer. So really these two pulling away clear. And if Larry ten Voorde wants to retain that P2, he has got to have to open up a bigger gap than that, because remember, he's carrying a 5-second penalty for jumping the start. We're riding on board with Leon Kohler in the MSG HRT Motorsport Porsche 911 in P7, looking at the back of Jean-Baptiste Simonauer. Our leading rookie is still Carlos Rivas, back in P18. And on board with Leon Kohler, car 77. Just see the concentration in the eyes. It's always good to get that view, and you just get a real feel for what they're looking at and what's involved. So you can see Leon Kohler really a lot quicker than Jean-Baptiste Simonauer on quite a few of those laps, closing in as best he can. But these cars, as I've mentioned before, so evenly matched. Lap 11 of 17, and it's Mikael Ammermuller with 3/10 over Larry ten Voorde at the front of the pack. And there you can see it. Larry ten Voorde really got nothing for Ammermuller at the moment. And Andlauer, Rettenbacher having their own battle as another change of position further back down the field. And we're on board with Henrik Skoog, currently all the way back in P20. That's not what he was hoping for today. Looking at the back of Igor Veliko, who picked up that penalty after incidents at Norris Ring a few weeks ago. And just shows how difficult the overtaking is here. The sun getting lower in the sky. You can see it glinting off the bonnets of these cars as they head up the hill towards turns 7 and 8 here at Circuit Park in Zandvoort. And again, you can see the banking and the change in elevation here. A proper driver's track. And on the bottom of your screen there, you can see the gaps between the drivers, with Ammermuller and ten Voorde very much pulling clear of the third and fourth place cars. So really looking very crowded as Veliko moves his way through and past Henrik Skoog. The two teammates running together on the track. And there is the number 6 car of Carlos Rivas. He's our leading driver. Sorry, leading rookie, I do believe. And he's down in P18. So, another change of position And that's car 8, Gustav Malja, who working his way forwards as well. The lead battle still rages on. There really is nothing between them, is there? Only 4 more laps remaining in this Porsche 911 race. The Porsche Carrera Cup here at Circuit Park in Zandvoort. And Jean-Baptiste Simonauer has had race-long pressure from Leon Kohler, hasn't he? Number 3 car, Dylan Pereira down in P5. And he can see the Kohler car in front of him, but can't really do much to wind him in at this time. You see how windy it is. You can see the trees buffeting about, and the car's aerodynamic devices that they are, it's inevitable that they're going to be affected by these weather conditions. So Dylan Pereira still looking for that elusive first win of 2019. He's had a P2, he's had a P3, still looking for that P1 as he completes another lap. It doesn't look as though this is going to be the race where he gets it. Larry ten Voorde also looking like he's run out of ideas on how to get past Mikael Ammermuller. And again, in the back section of the track, overtaking opportunities, few and far between, but the variation so little. All these cars identical, running the same tyres, the same Porsche 911s. Just the setup is all that is different between them. And closing a gap and getting past another driver, not something that can be done easily. Larry ten Voorde, though, looking more and more racy. Is he going to make a move on Mikael Ammermuller? Whatever happens, he's not going to find a way past to win it because of that 5-second penalty. Just look at the timing screens. Car 92 and car 3 have to change position. So that is Luca Rettenbacher and Dylan Pereira have been asked to change position. So I can only assume that it has been decided that Rettenbacher gained an unfair advantage to get past. So they've been requested by race control to swap positions. So Mikael Ammermuller leads Larry ten Voorde, and ten Voorde now putting the pressure on to get past Ammermuller and pull out a 5-second lead is looking near on impossible with 2 laps remaining. So the win looking very much out of the question, I'd say, for Larry ten Voorde. But Ammermuller looking like he's going to be the man to hold him off. He's done it for 15 of the 17 laps. And really just putting that car on the racing line, not making any stupid mistakes. Just holding it all together is all he needs to do for these last couple of laps. And surely he'll be the one to cross the line in P1. Looking back at Larry ten Voorde. Hard work driving these cars. Not sure if he's aware of the penalties picked up. The BWT Lechner Racing Team, they're looking pretty chilled about things. They've got a 1, they've got a 3, and they've got a 4. No, they've got a 1, 3, and a 5. But of course, Rettenbacher has had to let Pereira past. So there's the number 2 car of Julian Andlauer. And Larry ten Voorde just suddenly looks like he's dropping back a little bit. So maybe the challenge is over. Maybe he's settled for second. But with a 5-second penalty on top of that, that's going to put him back somewhere in the region of P5, P6. So, not something that he's going to be overly happy about. The steward's really on top of the game here to penalise anything that needs to be done. So, 16 out of 17 laps completed. Riding on board with Leon Kohler. Lurking at the back of Jean-Baptiste Simonauer. Over the hill once again, down the other side. Looking great amongst the sand dunes on this Saturday afternoon here in Zandvoort. And a move on the inside. Leon Kohler looking to the inside of Jean-Baptiste Simonauer. But in so doing, Jaap van Lagen has looking at both of them and they've both spun. Jaap van Lagen, was he being a little bit over-eager? Oh, and once again, Jean-Baptiste Simonauer involved in an accident, someone else's accident, and Dylan Pereira did pick up some damage trying to squeeze through there as well. So, I don't know whether that would have been enough to have slowed him, but, oh, dearie me, that looked like a fairly optimistic view as we look at Jaap van Lagen. And who's that? That's Skoog once again doing a bit of off-roading. Another one who's having a weekend to forget. So let's hope we see a replay of that incident that we just saw. I'm sure we will in a moment. Look at them all stacked up there behind the 94 car of Janis Fitcher. We're laps 17 to 17, and that's Jean-Baptiste Simonauer at the side of the track. What has he got to do to get a result? The BWT Lechner team look on. Mixed emotions. They've got a car at the front and they've got a car parked up at the side. Still jostling for positions in this final stage of this race. So Jean-Baptiste Simonauer, yet another DNF for him. So much potential. You can see now Mikael Ammermuller, he has stretched out the lead. Larry ten Voorde clearly settled for P2 across the line on this final lap. Julian Andlauer really doesn't need to stress himself getting past. He really doesn't need to do that because he's got it anyway, but I guess the glory comes in crossing the line where you want to cross where you finish. And he works his way on the inside of Larry ten Voorde. I wonder if ten Voorde is carrying a problem because he does appear to have suddenly slowed. And his lap times suddenly decreasing. And he's now coming under far from Luca Rettenbacher, who, of course, will get that position on account of the fact that Larry ten Voorde has that 5-second penalty. So out of the final corner, Mikael Ammermuller comes. The checkered flag waves. A clear victory for Mikael Ammermuller. Julian Andlauer crosses the line second. Larry ten Voorde crosses the line third, carrying a 5-second penalty with Luton Rettenbacher in P4 and Dylan Pereira in P5. Leon Kohler doing well for P6. And David Coltman, P7. So there's your winner. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Mikael Ammermuller for BWT Lechner Racing. Taking a 1-2 for that team with Dylan Pereira. And this is another look at the Jaap van Lagen incident. And it did look like a very optimistic move. We see Pereira squeeze through there. And don't think... You see here on board with Jaap van Lagen. And he does have a gap up at the inside there. And does Jean-Baptiste Simonauer... could be said that Simonauer came across and shut the door on him. I'm pleased I'm not stewarding this, I really am. Because that's a harder one to call than you think. On board with Leon Kohler. And you see him just squeezing through. Clunk. Oh, did he pick up any damage in the MSG HRT Motorsport Porsche? I don't know. but he makes it through, and looks like he finishes in P5. So clearly he didn't get any damage. Now Larry ten Voorde, having had, looks like to our timing screens, he's had his 5-second penalty applied. Drops him down to P4. Could have been a lot worse, it has to be said. Mikael Ammermuller, the winner. Julian Andlauer in second. Dylan Pereira, P3. It's a 1-2-3 for BWT Lechner Racing. And there's your confirmed result. Leon Kohler did come through to 5th, David Kolkman 6th, Tim Zimmerman 7th, and Rudy Van Buren, great to see him through in P8. 9th, Sandra Kaibach, Janis Vitje, Jaap van Lagen, Jackson Evans doing well, and he leads the rookie standings, doesn't he? And there's the rest of the positions through. So 3 non-finishers: Jean-Baptiste Simonau, Alex Arkanaka and Georgi Donchev. Close racing as always, as the cars are brought back into Parc Fermé at the end of a fairly lively day. Ammermuller crawls out of the car, punches the air. Very happy with his afternoon's work. So, team boss of BWT Lechner Racing, handing the drinks. That is, of course, Walter Lechner, Senior. And Larry ten Voorde, not sure if he's aware that he's demoted yet. Parking in the P3 position. Just see him working his way through the crowd there, and just think he's probably just been informed of his penalty, I imagine. Because Dylan Pereira, who should be in that P3 spot, would have thought that jump starts it's a bit of a slam dunk, really. They wouldn't award it unless it was something that has showed up on the computer screens, and so it's I can imagine it's a point of fact and not something that can be argued or negotiated. So the P4 of Larry ten Voorde there. And here we look again at that start. Oh, he was crawling. Did we see him crawling? He was rolling before the lights went out, but then he did stop. But if he had moved outside of his pit box, then that would have been fair enough, and he's not going to be happy about that. But he was creeping at the start, and that seems fair to me. So very controversial indeed. I saw him he was rolling, and then he came to a stop, didn't he? And then started rolling again straight away. So the drivers go up towards the podium. You can hear the wind whistling around. It's a brave man who goes up into a high place today, I'll tell you. Feels like the commentary box is going to blow over. There we go. So, driver classification. And Julian Andlauer jumps to the top of the points. Larry Ten Voorde down to P2 with 136 from Mikael Ammermuller and Dylan Pereira. Now, that's something we didn't expect to see. So, really significant in the point standings, particularly that jump start. So we're well over halfway through the season, and the points championship is really, really hotting up. Anyone who thought it was going to be a Ten Voorde walkover were very much mistaken. There we see the third place finisher of Dylan Pereira in the BWT Lechner Racing Porsche 911. There we see the second place, Julian Andlauer for BWT Lechner Racing in the Porsche 911. And hey, guess what? There's your winner, Mikael Ammermuller in the BWT Lechner Racing Porsche 911. Car number 1 finished first, car number 2 finished second, car number 3 finished third. Larry Ten Voorde wants to be happy that car 13 didn't finish in the same place as his number. Comparing notes at the end. A much happier scenario for BWT Lechner Racing after the Norris Ring fiasco, which saw the first 3 BWT Lechner Racing cars all end in a heap in one corner. Not such great news for Jean-Baptiste Simonauer, and he can only hope his luck turns around soon. Picked up a P4 and a P8 at Norris Ring, but pretty well that has been all that there is to show for his season. You just hear, just listening to what they're saying.
I was not. For sure, you will see, maybe I was crazy, but you pushed me in the corner. Yes, there was like
Tensions. You pushed me into the corner. Negotiations will continue long into the night, I have no doubt. Yeah, clearly not entirely happy with things. You should think Mikael Ammermuller ought to be really happy he won it. So I'm not sure he's got too much to be grumpy about. Some congratulations from the senior folk at Porsche Carrera Cup. So, Mikael Ammermuller taking the top step of the podium. Julian Andlauer in P2 and Dylan Pereira in P3. Comes Walter Lechner as the winning constructor. Ammermuller receives his trophy. Very nice indeed. second place. Julian Andlauer and Dylan Pereira in third. And Walter Lechner tried to get a preemptive strike in, didn't really work, did it? Get the boss, never a good idea. He's going back in for seconds. Good. We should be getting the rookie and amateur podiums next. My apologies for lack of information on that. I had a proper dog ate my homework moment when somebody opened the door to the commentary booth and the piece of paper blew out. Yeah, it's very windy here, and that sounds like a made-up excuse, but it's actually real. So I've now retrieved my piece of paper, and I can actually see the point standings for the amateur and rookie championship. Oh, dear. Photos taken. And here we have some highlights from the Porsche Carrera Cup here at Circuit Park in Zandvoort. I do hope you've enjoyed it. We're back for more racing from these folk tomorrow, and I really hope you're going to join us then. In the meantime, enjoy the highlights, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.